Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Do you remember that song? I don't know, it's probably 20 years ago now, by Joan Osborne. What if God was one of us? What if God was one of us? Well, Christianity asserts, that's actually kind of happened. We know what that looks like. And that's kind of the question today. What would it look like if God was one of us? Because the Baptist wants to know, just who is this guy Jesus? The Baptist grabs a couple of his disciples and he says, look, I'm hearing things about Jesus. I'm not sure what's going on here. And he sends them out to talk to him. What is happening? Well, I think the best guess is that John the Baptist sees Jesus as the one who will bring about the kingdom. And for John, that's probably some great divine intervention which radically reverses the way the world works and brings about God's kingdom on earth. And, he's saying that Jesus is the one, but where's the reversal? What's going on here? Instead, he's probably heard word about Jesus beginning his public ministry and going from town to town, synagogue to synagogue, along the Sea of Galilee, preaching in his own synagogue in Nazareth, and performing lots and lots of mighty deeds, as they would have been called, miracles, as we would call them. And John is like, this is not what I expected. So go ask him. And this is the question. Jesus, are you the one who is to come? Or should we look for another? And Jesus' answer is kind of funny in a way. He says, well, we'll go back and tell John this. He says, tell him this, that the blind see, the deaf hear, the lame walk, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news preached to them. Blessed is he who takes no offense in me. And basically what he's saying to John is, can you believe that that is how God is going to work in the world? Are you willing to let go of your expectation of how God should work in the world to be able to recognize how God is working in the world, in and through Christ? And that is such an important question, I think, for all of us who try to follow Jesus. To kind of, we bring our own pre-existing, wisdom on how God should act. One of the members of our group, I remember, was talking about how someone in the family lost their husband. And after that, she could never even believe in God again. That was it. She was done as a person of faith. She was convinced that God had to work in a certain way, or it wasn't God at work. And it certainly didn't allow her husband dying on her. That's for sure. And are we allowed to recognize, or are we able to recognize better, the way that God works in the world beyond our expectation? And so for John, his expectation is this dramatic reversal, and it's not happening. Instead, Jesus is sort of going door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood, village to village, and bringing about the signs of the kingdom, with the deaf hearing and the blind seeing and the poor having the good news preached to them, but the world is still pretty much the crazy old world. In the world in which you and I have lived for many decades, we've seen the church go through a dramatic renewal and transformation in which it has recognized maybe God is at work in the world in ways that we did not anticipate. So, for example, when Pope John the 23rd began the Second Vatican Council, he said that, there are some out there who, when they look at the world, see only doom and gloom. I do not look at the world that way, said Angelo Roncalli, now John the 23rd. For the Pope, he could see the hand of God in ways that many of us and many of the bishops were never trained to see the hand of God. They were trained to see the hand of God in certain boxes and pre-existing ideas. And Angelo Roncalli was saying, let's open up the windows of the church and let in the fresh air of the modern world. Is it possible that God is at work in the world in ways that we never imagined? And I think for John the 23rd, one of the things that he was thinking of is, the social sciences. Can the church learn from psychology and sociology? Biblical studies. Can the church learn from the great biblical studies that were going on, primarily in the Reformed, the Protestant communities, with the Catholic Church only slowly beginning to catch up with? Can the church learn from our brothers and sisters in Christ, and even from the non-Christian religious traditions? Is God at work possibly in ways that we could not have imagined? So when the Baptist asked Jesus that question, are you the one who is to come? The answer, as we know, as we read the Gospels, yeah, he is the one. But that's easy for us to say. What about the ways in which I need to perhaps open wider, see more clearly, get outside of my own pre-existing lenses and say, how is God at work in the world? And I'm missing it. Peace be with you.